What the was that ending? I shit myself, but I be foiled. Welcome back to the Old Head Reviews channel. I'm your host, Joey Sparks, and in this video, we're going to explain that ending to Moon Knight Episode 4, as well as go over some of the things you may have missed. Do things a little different, because I want to get to that ending. In order to get to that ending, we got to double back to the beginning. You heard? We start off where we were last episode, and Layla staves Steven. Insert Flair criticism right here. Pick your poison. Whatever Flair joke you want to put in here. Now they're trying to be Harrow to Ammit's tomb to keep his bitch ass from resurrecting her. While en route, Steven won't give Mark back control. Sexual tension grows between Layla and Steven, and we get a super cringy kiss. Yuck. Was I the only one who was grossed out a little bit? It seemed a little misplaced. Ugh. While using their knowledge of Egyptian history to navigate the tomb, they run up on those ugly ass supernatural zombie motherfuckers. And in order to escape, they split up. And while Layla out here dolo, she uses her love for flares to take out one of the zombies. And right then, Arthur's hating ass shows up, starts dry snitching on Mark about her dad. And when Mark and Layla meet up again, she grills him about it. Now, in previous videos, we've discussed Moon Knight's comic book origin, and it's pretty much confirmed here. Mark's business partner, Bushman, killed her dad before attempting to kill Mark. That's how Mark became Moon Knight. Now, before the origin story was discussed between those two, Mark found the mini statue of Amit in Alexander the Great's coffin. Well, actually, this sick motherfucker found it in the throat of Alexander the Great, which was, of course, in the coffin. Arthur comes in and shoots Mark, and this is where shit gets crazy. If you're enjoying the content so far, please like, comment, subscribe on all the content. Let's get back in. Now, this ending is what lends to what I think is this series' strong point. Playing off the dissociative identity disorder is where I think this show has its leverage. I mean, even writing out the fact that there's not that much action. Hopefully we get a lot more action in the final two. Who knows? We'll see. But I love what they're giving me creatively on the other aspect. Let's dive into this ending, right? But first, in this specific comic book run of Moon Knight, Mark is actually inside a mental hospital. And inside this comic book run of Moon Knight, they also play on this trope. Is Moon Knight real, or is Mark making all this up in his head like he's made up all these other personalities? And I think they do a really good job of translating that into film right here. I mean, we start off with some of the imagery. We have his statuesque friend Crowley in here as the bingo announcer, and he's saying bingo, I think it was B52. No one's figured that out yet. I trust me, I've looked. You start to see some of the things that maybe someone who's losing their mind would be piecing together from a bunch of different areas. So here on the card, you see the different colors that look like the different embalming colors we found in the tomb. There's also both of the detectives showing back up in this psychiatric ward. We see cupcakes being pushed on a cart, which resemble the cupcakes truck that Mark was driving. You also see this artist drawing a bird here that looks like Khonshu, with the head of Khonshu. And also in the fishbowl off to the side, you can see the goldfish. His girls show up. She eating that specific candy from the last episode. And then they just start playing on, like, is Mark sedated, but is he making this all up in his head? Because I think they do a really good job of confusing the viewer on whether or not he's crazy, and none of this stuff is real, versus what is actually happening, which this thing is, which they'll figure out is real. He also had this little small meeting with what looked to be his doctor, but it's actually Arthur. And there's this like really, cheesy situational VHS they were watching. But they do a good job of like making Mark look in the mirror and seeing the feet and wondering, like, is this really the doctor, or is this what I remember from Arthur? All that sort of stuff. That's what gives it its bread and butter. And that's why I'm in for this show. Now, somehow through this psychological mind fuck, we end up with Steven walking out of one of the psych rooms, and in another psych room he sees a sarcophagus, and he goes over that sarcophagus and it's moving, and he pushes off the top, and who's in there? Mark Spector's in there, and they embrace like they're friends, like they're happy that one another is happy to see each other. They're like they're gonna help each other get out of this madness. It was really cool to see them two embrace. I thought that was really dope. So then they continue down the corridor just a little bit further, and in another room is another sarcophagus, and it's kind of moving around and shaking. They don't stop to open it up, but we got to assume that's probably Jake Lockley up in that one. Be on the lookout for that personality to show up as well. And then they open up another set of doors, and here comes that hippopotamus god. I forget the name. I'll insert it right here. And then they scream, and the episode is over. And so maybe this is another god that got banished by the other gods and is here to help Khonshu, because obviously there's some sort of rift between the main council of gods and then all these other imprisoned gods in that one scene at the beginning. I like to critique because how can you take the good if you don't hand the bad off? So here's my bad, right? The lack of action. They're making up for it with like giving me horror elements in kind of this Indiana Jones versus the Mummy vibes, but like I'd like some of Moon Knight. I'd like to see him fighting more often, and hopefully in these next couple episodes they're gonna fulfill that. And I'll just need to shut up for this one. And then you can tell some of the low budget stuff with some of the CGI kind of gets a little wonky from time to time. Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, the fact that it's not connected so closely to the rest of the MCU is that it feels so detached. But like that's what I like about it. But I feel like some people are going to be let off about that. So I can actually be critical about that, if that makes sense. Anyway, man, I appreciate y'all sticking around. I don't like to keep these too long. So if I missed something, please tell me about it in the comments. And once again, if you could hit that subscribe button, much appreciated. You heard? This is Joey Sparks for Old Hair Reviews. If you're wondering about that origin story, you can learn a little bit about it on this video right here. All right, man. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.